I thought I'd be outside working by now, but don't let this bright sunlight fool you. We just had a little shower move through. Really windy outside, so things are passing pretty fast. Take the time then and Mary and her husband stopped in again the other day, and they brought this loaf of this bread, cinnamon somehow. I don't know just how to describe it. Anyway, it's really good. Thought I'd have a little of my coffee that was left, and I got a few peaches to finish off, so have a little light lunch here. Well, I finished my little light lunch. You notice that bright sunshine's already gone, and I think if I stall any longer, I'm going to have another rain excuse coming up here. It's all right. Inside cabin life's pretty good. I mentioned that couple of Mark and Mary had come back again. They're the ones that came walking in that day, and I knew they were coming that time, but when they came back, they hadn't had time to contact me. They just got the idea they'd come up. Well, it wasn't all that simple, because coming up meant a 160-mile motorcycle ride, the last half of which was 50 degrees and then a light rain. So by the time they got out there at the end of the trail and Mary come walking in, by the time she got here, she started to get a little bit warmed up, but she said she needed some of that Wayne heat. I don't know if you remember some of my stories from years ago. Old Wayne was up here, and he liked it about 100 degrees in here. Well, we did crank it up to about 85, and eventually she started getting warmed up, and Mark was getting dried out, but it was a pretty cold ride up. She even wanted to get the dishes done, and I went ahead and let her, and then I realized later, I think she wanted that hot water as much as anything. But she did bring that nice bread up, and because that night when they got in here, she said the hot soup would do her, but I had all these fixings out in the freezer out there I could get out real quick. It's all pre-cooked, and so I made them up some pizzas, and that really took off the cold edge too. They spent the night. I was able to, it was a nice enough night. I slept outside. I just gave them the inside of the cabin, and Mary slept up on the top of the table, and I warned her it was going to be hot up there. And even though they let the stove go out and had a window cracked, she said it still got really hot, that I was right. And everybody's always wondering why I sleep down on the floor. Well, that's one of the reasons. That 3 or 4 feet up in the air in here with the wood stove going, it's hot. So, well, one more piece of dark chocolate. If it's not raining, I'm going to head outside. Another rain delay. I didn't get started. Got a few cedar trees that were blown over, cut off, but then the rains returned. Oh, didn't even stop to say thank you. Two different birds here. One will come in and he'll sit. Well, if I can clamp. Yeah, well, if I clamp it down sometimes, he'll sit there for a while. The other one, like that little flyby, very seldom sits. Driving him crazy because there's still a little piece caught in my finger here. Now that was the one that'll sit around. This one coming in now, the other one. Well, he's on top of my camera shaking. Oh, you're getting around? Oh, well, not bad. What do you think? Well, that's enough for today. I haven't made these in years at the cabin, but I brought some frozen bread dough rolls up. Got one out this morning, thawed it out, melted some brown sugar and butter and a little milk in the pan, rolled these out, coated them with cinnamon sugar, and ready to set them up. Let them rise for an hour and a half. With the wood stove going, that should work really well. Keep them wrapped up. Cover them up so they don't dry out too much. Put them up in a high spot over by the stove. Oh, there's been a major crisis at the cabin. The pan slipped off the shelf. All my cinnamon rolls hit this nasty old piece of birch bark I had in here drying. I'm afraid that even the 5-second rule for things hitting the floor on a camping trip doesn't apply here. Oh, what a shame. Well, fortunately I have 2 more frozen rolls out in the freezer yet, so I can try to get another morning, but I do have cornbread coming out of the oven. I'm always chasing around trying to get the black-backed woodpecker. And this morning there's 2 of them flying around the yard. Yesterday was a very cool and windy fall day, so I took advantage and actually drove my vehicle around to the west end of my trail system, and there were some big trees down on the trail in there, I knew, so I carried my big heavy chainsaw with me. I'm glad I did, because there were some trees in there that needed that 20-inch bar to get through. There were quite a few trees down, but it wasn't quite the mess I imagined, since I hadn't even gotten there last year to clean it up. But the winds were kind to me this year compared to what some of the other trails were. There's a little trail over to the east Jim and I had gone through and got it brushed out last week again. It's really nice having done that now. I got a clear shot to walk through, and it's just a beautiful, it's cool, but the winds are light. Just another beautiful fall day, and since I've worked hard yesterday, I don't feel at all bad about goofing off today. Got a lazy morning around the cabin. Had that failure on those caramel rolls. I still feel kind of bad about that. So after I got the chores done, I just stuck an apple in my pocket and took off for a hike. This is a trail that my My late friend Wayne, he would head out on a moonlit night. And he would ski this. When he headed out at night, I knew this is where he was going. So if he didn't come back, I knew where to go look for him. But he always came back. He was careful, but he couldn't pass up a moonlight night coming down through this trail. And now it's been combined with other trails, but it used to be labeled Wayne's Night Ski. This part of Wayne's Night Ski it's been logged since he's been gone. You can see how long ago that was now with the size of the young trees that they've grown up. You can see when they do their logging up here, they always leave a few big trees, and that's why that big aspen's standing there. I think they need to leave about 7 trees per acre for wildlife, different aspects of having a healthy regeneration in a forest. Sometimes when they leave them like that, they're very susceptible to the wind and they get taken over anyway, but it's a good plan. There's a nice mixture in here now of spruce, some birch, mostly aspen. This is the base of that big aspen I just showed in the distance, and with it sticking way up in the air all by itself, and with this rotten base, I'm very surprised I haven't had to cut it off the trail. I'll bet within the next year or two. With the way it's leaning, I'll be cutting it up. This is a portion of Wayne's Ski that they didn't log. But even though they didn't log it over these years, most of the timber was old, it died, the wind has taken it down. And you can see that there's regeneration, but it's not near the healthy aspen and mixed forest is where they properly, with proper forest management, I should say. When they do it right, things come out a lot healthier. Be a pretty simple meal tonight, I think. Got some of the turkey left over from a week ago. It's been in the freezer. Brown that up a little bit. I got a can of choy stir-fry vegetables to add to it. And a little hot and spicy mix to put on near the end. I think that'll do it. Oh, my company gone. Somebody's got to sit around the yard with me. little chair. Yeah. How was your day? Good. Good day. Well, that's good. Are you still hungry? Goodness sakes. Good, buddy. Yeah. I know I'm only good for the food.